Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My name is Mark Bruins. I'm the founder and owner of BA Masterminds, Business Analyst Masterminds Limited, registered in the United Kingdom. Welcome, everybody. I go live every month on LinkedIn, sometimes twice a month. And today I've got something very exciting to talk about. And this is the 8 focus points. So this is to help people get ready, to help you, a business analyst, get ready for your next career move. So there's a lot of things that you want in your career, and it's my duty to determine what you need. And goal setting is not what everybody wants. It is what everybody needs. So what a business analyst wants, they want to enjoy their job. They want to have a dream job. They perhaps want to climb the corporate ladder from junior business analyst to senior business analyst. Perhaps you've got leadership qualities. You want to be a lead or a principal BA. And then, of course, you want to make a lot of money. Otherwise, you might as well go lie on the beach, right? So that's what business analysts, and perhaps this is you. This is what you want. But what you need is something totally different. Things that you need to get you to where you want. And you need some goal setting. So basically, there's life goal setting and there's career goal setting. There's long-term, medium-term, short-term goal setting. That's what we're going to be looking at today. We're not going to be doing any life goals at the moment, but just we're going to go through into career goal setting. So a lot of people talk about long-term career goals. And just today, earlier on, I was chatting with 𝗙𝗏𝘀𝗀𝘀 on some of her posts, and she mentioned 10-year goals. What are your 10-year career goals? And, life is moving at a rapid pace with technology, with fourth industrial revolution techniques, with us already, almost ready for 5IR, correct? But basically, anything can change in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, something that we've got no control over. So it's a bit like my son, who's just turned 13. He turned 13 in Holland. We went to go and visit Holland, where my parents and their parents come from. And basically, when he leaves school in 5 years' time, and he's got to go, and do further studies and go and secure a job, I'm pretty sure that the job that Gordon's going to do hasn't even been created yet. So long-term goals, it's a bit of a stretch at 10 years. So I always say, with the right mentor and with the right foundation and with the right roadmap, you should be able to achieve your long-term goals in 3 years from today. So if 3 years is your long-term goals, then whereabouts is your medium-term and short-term goals? So the medium-term goals, when we do goal-setting mastery, we set them at 1 year from now. Where do you need to be in 1 year from today to know you're on track to achieving your 3-year goals, which might change? If you've got any comments or if you've got any questions, you can start typing them in now. Let me go to my comments. We're going to do a Q&A at the end of this. I'm going to try and get this done in 45 minutes. Very excited about it. It's the first time I'm actually showcasing this new strategy that we've learned, this methodology about goal-setting mastery. And basically, when you set your 1-year goals, those should be the biggest goals of your career, because your 3-year goals can shift. But your 1-year goals, it's nice to set high but achievable 1-year career goals, so that when you do achieve them, you can say, wow, if I set goals, I know I'm going to achieve them. That's great. But secondly, I really raised the bar. I put the 1-year goals quite high. And then basically your short-term goals are basically, so what I mentor is I mentor high but achievable 1-year goals. And then I help my mentees, because I'm a mentor and a career strategist, I help my mentees then pivot a few times. So perhaps they're going to pivot. I don't want to get into too many details because I'm going to give it all away. But basically, the sooner you start, if you've got to pivot 3 times in a year, the sooner you start pivoting, the better. Now, once you've set your goals, you're going to realize, damn, that's my to-be, that's my future state. My current state, my as is, I don't really like it. I feel uncomfortable here. And I'd rather be where in a year from now. Just because you set 1 year career goals doesn't mean it has to take you a year to get there. I've got so many students who attain all their 1 year goals in under 6 months. So it's nice. And then what you do, you just set another 1 year goal, a little bit higher, a little bit more difficult to achieve. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So your short-term goal is basically, when you want to pivot, you can pivot basically 2 ways. You can pivot internally at the same company without resigning and looking for another job. So you can pivot horizontally, or you can pivot vertically. Horizontally means if you're a senior BA and you're working on a project and it's CRM and you want to go into cybersecurity, then there's a project going or program with a couple of projects on the go right now in your organization where cybersecurity is being implemented. Then you can, network with those people and say, right, I'm really interested in being a senior business analyst focusing on cybersecurity. Do you mind if I join your team? Can I please join your team? I'd like to get involved in cybersecurity. And then you don't have to, dolly up your CV and your LinkedIn profile and the job site portals and look for jobs and apply for jobs and attend interviews. You're probably just going to have one interview with maybe the program director, the project manager, the lead business analyst, and because you're already working for the company, then you should be able to secure an interview, and then you can pivot horizontally in your organization. Alternatively, you can pivot vertically. In other words, if you're a business analyst, you can improve quickly. We'll get into that later. And then you can climb the corporate ladder and become a senior BA inside that program project environment that you're working on at the moment. Okay, so that's one way to stay in your company. But the other way is to secure a job at another company. So when you want to pivot and perhaps one of those 2 avenues in your current company don't work out, then you can secure a job at another company. So that's what we're going to be looking at as well today. So can I ask all of you or some of you or whoever wants to just to type in your ideal job title 1 year from now? Ideally, what would be your job title? Because every job in the world has a job title. I always say you get a plumber and an electrician and an Uber driver, so people can relate. What are those? And then you get a business analyst, senior business analyst, project manager, product owner, solution architect, software developer, need I go on? Every job is a job title. So in your contract of employment, when you're working for a company, it's got your job title. This is your job title. So what would be ideally your job title in 1 year from now, just so that you can start getting some direction and start implementing what we've learned? Okay. I've also shared here in the comment section a link to download the PDF, which is associated with this live LinkedIn event, and then a checklist as well. I can email you the checklist, or I can paste you the checklist so that you can also use the checklist to update what you've learned today. All right, because it's not about learning, it's about implementing, right? So if you just sit here and watch and don't do anything afterwards and take no action, you haven't really gained any value. But ideally, you'd work alongside me. Not now. You can watch this. So this is recorded. You can watch it again at any time. Even now, you can stop and start playing it from the beginning. So I suggest you just sit with us, and then at the end, go through it again if you need to with the PDF. But I'll give you enough information. You don't have to rewatch this video. Okay, good. Ready to go? Let's start getting some comments. What would be your ideal job title for 1 year from today? Okay, so let's get started with the first slide. All right, so let me give the game away. Where am I? I should be picture in picture here somewhere at least. Okay, there I am. Okay, so to give the game away straight away, the 8 focus points: sector, job title, job type, industry or domain, office, remote, hybrid, and remuneration, and then AI, and then your niche. So we're going to work through all of those now. So let's start on the first one. The first one is the sector. So remember, this is about your 1 year career goal. Where do you see yourself in 1 year from today? And you're going to use these 8 focus points to help you to mold and to define clearly that role, that where you want to be. Now, there are 2 sectors. One is the public sector and one is the private sector. So the private sector are companies that are perhaps listed on the London Stock Exchange that are in business to make money. So they want to make a profit. So they sell always something, a product or a service. And then from that, they've got a gross profit, and then they've got expenses. So they remove the expenses like, building rental, electricity, staff, all these kind of things. Those are expenses. They deduct them and they end up with a net profit. And that's what companies are in business for. They're in business to make a profit, right? Other ones in the public sector, that's more the government. So that's where you're working for the local council and things like that. So there is a big difference in the two sectors. And perhaps you've worked in both. Perhaps you've worked in one. Perhaps you say, I've worked in the one, I don't like that one, I'm going to pivot into that other sector. Because remember, this is all about pivoting. You might end up pivoting 8 times because of these 8 focus points that we're talking about. All right. So the first one is then the sector. Do you want to work in the public or private sector? So if you've got a pen and paper, you can make notes. You don't have to download the checklist. You can just say, right, that's it. You can either say, I want to work in the public sector, or I want to work in the private sector, or I want to work in both. It's as simple as that. That one's straightforward. All right, let's move on. I'm sure you're getting the feel for it now. The next one is the job title. As I mentioned, every job in the world has a job title. So basically, when you know nothing and you come out of university, then you pay a company to learn business analysis. That'll make you an intern, and you'll be doing an internship. And then as soon as you've got some theoretical knowledge and practical experience and you can add some value, then perhaps you can become a volunteer. And now you can volunteer your services or your time for a company in the public or private sector, and you can gain some practical experience. And then you're a volunteer. And then from there, you can go and get a business analyst job for money, and you'll be a junior business analyst. Afterwards, when you've got perhaps more theoretical knowledge and more practical experience, then you can become a business analyst, and then a senior, then a lead, then a principal business analyst. So what's this all about? Theoretical knowledge and practical experience. So you need both. Let's take the plumber and the electrician and the Uber driver. You all need theoretical knowledge. So let's take the plumber, I guess. So the plumber needs to know how to change a washer in a tap. And they can either watch somebody else do it a couple of times, or they can go to learn in a classroom environment and then study and then write an exam afterwards. So there's 2 ways. There's on-the-job training, and then there's in the class training. And basically, I always advocate the in the class training because that's how you get the latest, greatest information. It's not twisted. It's straight. It's from the books that have been peer reviewed and things like that. So there's 2 typical certifications that you can get as a business analyst. One is the IIBA, the International Institute for Business Analysis, and they have the ECBA and the CCBA and the CBAP, right? So you can go through those paths. And once you've got your CBAP, you've passed it, you've got the certificate of competence, not the certificate of completion, then you'll know the theory behind business analysis, what we do as business analysts, why we do it, how we do it, the tools, techniques, strategies, methods, templates, all of that you're going to learn in class. The other one is the BCS International Diploma in Business Analysis. So that's the British Computer Society. That's more for people in the United Kingdom. To get the BCS International Diploma, they're kind of on par. You're going to, once you've got either or, you're going to have enough theoretical knowledge to be able to do on to work your job. And then what you need to do then after you've gained theoretical knowledge is implement it in your job as a business analyst, converting that theoretical knowledge into practical experience. Okay. And then you've got both. All right. So the job title, the difference between a senior BA and a lead or a principal BA, let me take you through that. So I've got mentees who have been a senior BA, like I'm a senior BA for about 7 years, and I've got students or mentees who are over 20 years. They are senior business analysts. You don't have to progress from a senior to a lead. And then basically, the difference between a senior and a lead, you need to be a senior BA before you can become a lead BA. but a lead BA manages other business analysts. So if you're in a big project environment, let's call it a program, many projects underneath, many work streams underneath that. So the lead BA plugs in onto the project manager. So the lead BA reports to the project manager. And if it's a big project within that program, maybe there's 5 business analysts. So the lead one is the line manager. And then perhaps there's 2 seniors and a business analyst and a junior. Then the lead BA will manage those resources, those people, be accountable for their work, have an open door policy, work together as a team, all these kind of things that a leader does. Now, a principal BA plugs into the program director, the program manager, so at a very high level. In other words, the principal BA, and I've got students also who are principal BAs, the principal BA plugs in under the program director and takes all the work that needs to be done for the entire program that needs to be done by business analysts. And then the principal BA takes the best work for themselves and then feeds out to all the other lead BAs their work for their respective projects. Okay, so that's the difference between that. Okay, wonderful. So if you're management material, and I believe that managers are born, they're not made, so you can't be a horrible manager and then get your MBA and then become a fantastic manager. And also, how do you know if you're a good leader or if you're management material or not? So basically, in your past, you need to reflect on your past, either in your career, your work environment, or extramural. In other words, sports, hobbies, recreational, things like that. So perhaps you're a captain of the football team, or you were, some leadership quality like that. And then at work, maybe you've been a manager, so you've managed other people and your job title was manager. Or perhaps you've onboarded some business analysts and mentored them and coached them and done some peer reviewing for them, things like that. And then basically what you need to think of is, what did those people think of your management style? Were you a really good manager or were you not so good? Okay. And that's what is a telltale sign whether you're management material or not. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Can we get some more people to type your 1-year goals, please? That'll be very nice. Thank you. Okay. Next slide. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this one is a big one. This is the job type. So there's 3 job types for a business analyst in the world. One of them is a permanent member of staff. So in other words, you're employed by a company. Your job title is business analyst. You get an annual salary. There's no end date in your contract of employment. And you do business analysis work internally for the company. That's a permanent job. The other one is where you're employed on a permanent basis by a company. Your job title is business analyst. Your contract of employment has no end date, but you don't do any business analysis work internally for that company. They outsource you to their clients at a daily or hourly rate. Then you'll be a consultant working for a consultancy firm. And a big thing that people put, the big mistake, or maybe I shouldn't say a mistake, I don't want to be too controversial, but a lot of people in their job title say consultant. That's not your job title. You're not a consultant. That's a job type. So it's similar to somebody saying, what is your job title? I'm a business analyst permanent. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's not your job title. Your job title is business analyst and you're employed on a permanent basis. That's the job type. So it's very misleading to say you're a consultant, because you can consult in a lot of things. Okay, you can consult in, let's have a look. So basically landscaping. So you can go to somebody's house and you can say, I'd like to consult you on putting in irrigation and some hedges and mowing the lawns, and I'm a consultant. I'll do that. Okay, so that's just a job type. It's not what you do. You're a landscaper, and the type of work you do is consultant. So you can't put consultant or even contractor in your job title. That is your job type. That's how you work. Okay, good. So, and then thirdly, when you see a job advertised on LinkedIn or JobServe or whatever, and you say, that's a great job, let me apply for that job. It shows a list of roles and responsibilities that the successful applicant will be doing. And then it'll have a duration. It'll say it's a 6 month period. It's got a day rate instead of a month rate or an annual rate. So a permanent member of staff, it's usually £50,000 per annum or £65,000 per annum. Same for consultant, but for a contractor, it's usually a day rate. And then you need to consider taxation with HMRC in the United Kingdom. So as a working person, you need to have a tax number, and then you need to declare and pay your taxes. And then a permanent and consultant, they're in a very high tax bracket. You don't want to pay too much tax, because recently, these last few years, a lot of people have been leaving the United Kingdom to go to other countries because the tax is so high. Employment tax. And then the contractor, there's 3 types of contracts that you can do. So you can do inside IR35. IR35 is the type of taxation for contractors, not just business analysis contractors, but all contractors. I think it even goes for truck drivers. So people who drive trucks and they're on a contract basis, they still, either categorized as inside or outside IR35. Okay. So before COVID days, there was no IR35. It came in, it almost didn't come in, and it came in again. And now there's IR35. So inside IR35 means that if you're working direct with the end client with your employment contract, or if you're working by an agency with an employment contract, then they deduct your taxation and give it to the HMRC before giving you your salary. That's inside. That's about the same taxation bracket then as permanent or consulting. So it's not very tax favorable. And then you get outside IR35 under an umbrella company. So in other words, you get hold of so when you get an offer, a written offer after the interviews, they can say, oh, you need to, this is outside, you need to choose an umbrella company, go and find your own, or here's a list of 7 and you choose which one. And then you choose one, and basically they will take your HMRC taxation from you. And then the final one is outside IR35 under your own limited company. So you go to Companies House, .gov.uk, Companies House, not quite sure what it is. You can search for it. And then you register a limited company in your name. And then you, on behalf of your company, sign the contract of employment. And then if you're on £600 per day, you get £600. And then it's up to you then to submit your taxation direct to HMRC. But it's much more favorable that way. Okay. So you can earn a lot more money and do a lot more savings with the contracting role if it's outside IR35. Still, it's about 25% of the business analyst contract roles in the UK are still outside IR35. So I know a lot of people, Howard Locke, if you're watching, you're one of them. You only secure outside IR35 contracts and never go for inside. Now, here's the beauty. When you've had an interview for a job and they choose you, they say no to the other applicants and they say, Mark, you have the role. When can you start? Okay. Then if the written contract of employment, because in a permanent member of staff, as a consultant, as a contractor, you will always have a contract of employment that's legally binding with the labor courts and labor laws. And basically it's your, the start date, the end date. If it's a contract role, the end date. If it's permanent or consulting, there is no end date, but it's your job title, your duties. It mentions overtime, how many days in the office, all these kind of things. So when they offer you, give you a written offer, then a lot of times people are just too scared or nervous or not confident enough to negotiate the terms and conditions. But I always urge my mentees to try and negotiate these terms and conditions. And a lot of times I've had 2 mentees already that successfully converted the offer from inside IR35 to outside IR35 in their own limited company. So it doesn't matter to the end client, nor to the recruiter where the money goes. It's a flat day rate. You're getting a day rate. Why should they care about HMRC? They can just leave it up to you. So that's a little good tip there as well. All right, fine. Wonderful. The next focus point is the industry or the domain. So some people get it confused with sector. Sector is public and private. Industry or domain is, for instance, financial services or banking or insurance or telecommunication, transportation, oil and gas, all these kind of different industries and domains. So why do you think that I'm adding this to the 8 focus points? Well, perhaps there's some domains that what you want to do with these 8 focus points is determine your 1-year career goal in like a whole paragraph full. And then you want to redefine yourself on LinkedIn in alignment with those one-year goals. You want to rewrite your CV in alignment with your one-year goals. And then you're going to go out and then you're going to go and apply for jobs, for that. Now, basically, if you say online gambling, oh, I don't like that. It's so addictive. It's so horrible. It's like, it ruins people's lives. It's horrible. I don't want to get involved in online gambling. It's against my religion or my beliefs or whatever it is. You just don't want to do that. Or perhaps alcohol or tobacco or something like that. You just say, no, I want nothing to do with it. Then you document that and you say, I do not want to work in that industry, right? Ever. And then when a role comes along and you see it's in those industries, you just know, no thanks, next. So these 8 focus points help you to, when you see a job that's offered and you quickly go through your 8 focus points, if it's not in alignment with your dream job, don't take it. Don't apply for the job, you don't want. Sometimes you can say, right, I've struggled to get into banking. I'm now working at Lloyd's or Santander or one of the big banks, in Barclays or something in England, and you say, I love it. I like the banking industry. I want to stay in banking. Then you can say banking is one of those industries that you do want to work in. So you should make a list of ones that you don't and ones that you prefer, and even prioritize the ones that you prefer. So you can say banking number 1, or any financial services, that's number 2. I don't mind insurance or outsurance, so that's number 3. You know where I'm getting at? Yeah, because basically what you want to do then is, once you've decided on your one-year goal, which industry you want to work in, and by the way, these 8 focus points work just as well for your long-term, your 3-year goals. And if you say in 3 years' time I want banking, you need to pivot into that industry so that you can gain banking industry knowledge. Because a lot of the times when you look at a job description, you have the roles and responsibilities, or the tasks and duties that the successful business analyst will be doing. And then on the other end, you're going to say, these are the qualifications that you need to apply for the job. You need a degree in information technology. You need the BCS International Diploma in Business Analysis to prove that you know what you're doing as a business analyst. You need 5 years experience as a business analyst. You need banking. You need 2 years banking industry experience. Okay, so that's a lot of the times when you see a job offer, you can see they actually require that industry or domain knowledge. And then that's what you want to do. You want to pivot as soon as possible into that industry or domain so that you can gain that domain knowledge, so that you're heading towards your dream role. All right. How's everybody doing? Put some comments in there. Thank you. Okay. Is this helping a lot? Are you getting any value? Let's move on a little bit. I just want to break away because I don't want you to get bored and fall asleep and things like that. And some of you don't even know who I am. So let's start there. Who am I? Okay. So basically, I'm 62 years. Yeah. I used to say young. I guess I'm old. So I'm 62 years old. I've been doing IT since 1982. That's when I started doing IT, information technology. I've been doing that all the time, so I've got a lot of experience in IT. And then I've had 25 different jobs. Can you believe it, right? I've got a few mentees that I've got a few more. So that's, it's a lot, but that's the life of a contractor. So I've had 15 contracts, 8 of them in the UK. So I'm a certified senior business analyst. My BCS diploma, there's 4 modules in the oral. I've got my 4 modules. I did 2 in 2015 and 2 in 2016 at the Knowledge Academy in person in London. And that's where I wrote my exams, passed all 4 first time. And that's where I gained my theoretical knowledge in 2015, 2016. And since then, been doing business analysis work and contracting work. Yeah. I'm also a project manager. I've got my Prince 2 foundation and practice. And then I've been a mentor since April 2019. So I launched BA Masterminds in April 2019, went through the COVID period. Oh, that was rough. Okay, but we got out of it unscathed. So here we are. But I've been a mentor, and I'm a virtual mentor. So I don't mentor in person. I'm not going to come to your house and sit with you and have a cup of coffee. I do it on Zoom or Teams or Google Meet or Slack. You mention it. whatever you want, we can have. So it's audio-visual, virtual video conferencing calls, and that's how I mentor. Okay. I've also been a university lecturer. I taught 42 students, first-year students, on business skills. I had to write up my own curriculum and everything like that. Ooh, that was quite challenging, but it got me into mentoring and things like that, teaching and mentoring. So, BA Masterminds. What does BA Masterminds do? Okay. So I've mentored. There's a count. It keeps changing, so I don't want to make these slides incorrect. So 3,230 Zoom calls already. That's quite a bit, right? That's quite a bit. None on Teams. I haven't had any on Teams yet, but you're welcome to catch me up on Teams. Yeah. So we've got copper, bronze, silver, gold, and BAM Impact, which comes after gold. So gold is the flagship program. These are programs that I developed, that I wrote without copy and paste or plagiarism. And it's basically to help you to achieve your 1-year goals and your 3-year goals. Focus specifically on the 1-year goals, let's say. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. We launched bronze in January 2020. I had 11 students. 7 of them came across and started silver in February 2020. In August 2021, we launched gold, and I get feedback from our masterminds, what works, what doesn't work, and then we implement that and we get a new version. So when there's the advent of 4IR and RPA and AI and all these kind of things, machine learning, we implement these learnings into our course. So, and then we change the version number. So we're currently on version 7 already of the bronze and the gold mentoring program. Bronze and silver are included in gold, and a lot more. So bronze is basically the big package. It's a 4-month mentoring program. You can do it in 2 months or 1 month. I've had 7 students do it in 1 month, but it's 62 lessons an assignment. It's quite challenging. But it's really a 3 or 4 month program, 62 lessons and assignments, me as your mentor, or Marcus. So Marcus 𝗙𝗂𝘀 is our regional mentor for Canada. He's in Calgary. He's completed the entire program. He's just successfully secured his next senior business analyst contract role. And he's secured his 2nd highest contract role rate ever. So that's really good. And then we've got 𝗙𝗂𝘂𝘀. 𝗙𝗂 was one of my group mentees, and 𝗙𝗂 did it in 2022. He did the gold, and he then got a new contract. He's still in that contract. He doubled his earnings from moving from the one contract to the other contract. So 𝗙𝗂 is our mentor and career strategist for the South African region, whereas I cover the United Kingdom region and Australia. And Marcus and I sort of do America, to United States of America together. Okay. So we don't teach theory, no business analysis theory. In the gap analysis we do with our mentees, we look at your as-is, your to-be, your 1 year. And if there's a gap, you need theoretical knowledge, then we can give you up to 72% discount with the BCS, with the International Diploma in Business Analysis. Did you say 72%? Yes, I said 72% discount. Okay. And we've sent 44 students successfully there already. So you can also go and get that discount through us. And wonderful. So results-driven mentoring, no theory. And we personalize the career strategy. So the roadmap for the 62 lessons and assignments, we personalize. Some people don't need all of those. Maybe you only need 58, 59 of them. We personalize that entire one. And then lifetime career support. So once you invest in gold and you're a gold mentee, then it's free support for life. How's that? Okay, good. Right, back to yes, some of our students who have completed the course, and you can see there's quite a few of them, but that's nowhere near the 1,100. Okay, I didn't want to put them all into one slideshow. That slide would have been far too busy. Okay, next one. Right, let's continue. Let's talk about the focus point number 5. Thanks for your comments. Let them keep coming in. Thank you very much. Number 5 is the focus point is, what kind of role do you want? Do you want to work at the office every day, travel to the office, hang out with your colleagues, have meetings, go for lunches, work core hours, perhaps from 9 till 4, and then work some flexi time to put in 8 hours a day or a 40-hour week? Some people work a 37.5-hour week. Some people work a 35-hour week. It depends how you negotiate the terms and conditions of your contract when they offer it to you before you sign it. Okay, so that's what I help my mentees with, to try and negotiate that down to 35 hours a week. Yeah. And then remote means you're working from home. It doesn't mean you're in the coffee shop every day, or a hotspot. That's ideally from home. You'd set up your home office. You'd have very fast internet, reliable internet connection, a corporate device, a laptop. They won't give you a desktop laptop. It's always going to be Windows. I ask everybody, one person on Andre, he had they offered him an Apple. He took the Apple. Oh, he was so sorry. He didn't like. He's got a Mac. That's why he took the Mac, but it was so problematic because everything was in Office. Everything was in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Visio, all these things. So he struggled. He'll never do that again. So you're going to get that. So that's a remote job. Hybrid is a combination thereof. Again, when you get the offer for a role that you've applied for, you can negotiate to work more hybrid, to work more remote. I apologize, more remote. So if they say you've got to come to the office 3 days a week, you can, no. I'll come 2 days a week in the first month. You guys pay, and I'm going to charge you from when I leave my home until I get back home again, or otherwise. And then after the first month, I'm only going to come in once a month. That's I'm not coming 3 days a month. So if they really want you, they're open to negotiation. And I have helped my mentee successfully negotiate that down as well. So that's the one. What do you want? Some people want to go into the office. Some people like having that camaraderie. Some people don't want to be, with their partner, wife, husband, kids, they want to get out the house. They want to put on a nice outfit, go and then mingle and network, but I prefer fully remote, and then you can choose. If you're fully remote, they've got an office somewhere. Okay, there's nothing stopping you from going to the office at your own expense and go and do a full day's work there. So rather try and negotiate more hybrid, more remote. And then, if you want to come to the office, if you miss that human connection and things like that, go into the office. No one's going to mind. But it's not nice if they tell you to come to the office 4 days a week. That gets a bit rough. All right, unless that's what you're into. Okay, good. Right, so that's focus point number 5. Focus point number 6 is, how much money do you want? So a lot of people that I speak to in these, so I offer free mentoring sessions. It's called the 15-minute breakthrough session. I've also got the, hang on, where's the slide? How am I going to do this? Right, 15-minute breakthrough session. I've got a 30-minute career strategy session, a 30-minute career assessment session, and I've got a 1-hour goal discovery session. All of them are free. And then we go and we discuss, what are you earning right now? And they're like, oh my gosh, what are you worth? It's always more than what they're earning right now. Okay. And then if you think about it, if you go to your line manager and you're earning 50,000 and you say, I want to earn 75 because I think I'm worth 75. And you say to your line manager, all right, Sarah, how about a 50% increase in my salary? What? The UK average is 4.78. So I don't think you're going to get 50. The only way to get 50 is to leave your job and get a higher paying job somewhere else. Okay. So that's all about remuneration. So a lot of the times people leave their current job, even if you want to pivot vertically or horizontally in your same company, they know what you're earning. They're not going to give you more than 10%. One of my students, Sally, she successfully secured her 3-year goals with me during her 4-month mentoring. On month 2.5, she had the interview. She secured her 3-year goal in the 2nd month already. And they gave her standard 4% and then another 10%. So she got 14% more, which is quite a bit, especially the high rates she earns, because she's been there. It's a banking environment. She's been there 15 years already, very senior, knows the banks. But so she's done a real good pivot. Product development lead. That was her 3-year goal. And she was a senior business analyst when I started mentoring her. And so you can get quite a bit more money, but that's rare. Usually you have to leave the company to get what you think you're worth. All right, let's carry on with the, so you need to set a minimum. You need to say, I'm not going to work for less than £42,000 per annum. I can't. I've got a lifestyle that I want to sustain. Maybe I've got a partner or a husband or a wife and 1 kid or 2 kids or 3 kids. One of my students has got 5 kids. Excellent. Kids are expensive, especially if you want to put them in private school or through university and things like that. Kids are really expensive. So you need to then earn some money. As a contractor, I've got contractors who I helped secure a contract starting at, I think, 375 is about the lowest, and I've got a contractor on 1,375,000 per day outside IR35, fully remote, works, really enjoys his job, and he banks £28,000 every month. So you need to set your targets. You need to say, well, that's what I want to go for, high but achievable 1-year goals. And then basically, if you say, I want to take nothing less than 75,000 per annum, if there's a job offered for 64, you're just not going to apply. Yeah. Just remember that one of the terms and conditions that you can negotiate during your contract negotiation, before you accept and sign that offer of employment, you can negotiate more money, right? More money, less time in the office, less hours a week, all those kind of things. Okay, so if you set your sights on a £500 per day, don't turn the roll down if it shows 450, because if you're successful and they really want you to just say, I want 500, otherwise I'm not starting. Maybe they say something like 475, and after 3 months we'll do a performance appraisal, and we'll consider giving you that increase to 500. That's fine. Don't just write off the job because it's a little bit lower than but you should set your minimum. Okay. Next, focus point, right? I hope you're all receiving a lot of value out of this. The next one is AI won't take your business analyst job, but a business analyst with AI experience and skills will take your job. So it's not a case of, we're a business analyst, we're a senior business analyst, and I'm very worried about AI because if I do nothing and I just carry on doing my work, within a year or 2 years, AI will work me out of my job. Business analysis is not like that. It needs that human touch. It needs that, there's certain things that human offer that a machine or a walking robot or something will not be able to offer for a long time, specifically around stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement, requirement solicitation, all these kind of things where that human touch is still needed, because a manager is going to listen. If you sit down with a one-on-one with a line manager and you go and elicit requirements and tell them the project's in their favor, they're going to sit down over a meal with you or over a coffee or something, and and if you've got great elicitation skills, then you'll be able to elicit all their requirements. If that person now has to go to a computer application and a screen and answer little questions or like that, they're just going to want to get through it and like, well, but this is boring or whatever. There's no real interaction yet. So our jobs are safe for the long time, but you do need to start using AI, specifically to AI. Now, the first one is ChatGPT. So I'm becoming a master at ChatGPT already. I'm loving it. It's my virtual senior business analyst assistant that I can bounce ideas off through and things like that. Still busy training the thread, so it's going to take a bit of time. But because we start from nowhere, it doesn't even know me or anything like that. But I'm training it. And then the other one, if you want to guess the other one, let's put it in the chat. What do you think is the other AI application business analysts should know really well? Yeah, and let's walk through it because there's quite a few of them, right? Gemini and Claude and things like that come to mind. But now, if you, like I said earlier, when you secure a role at a company, they're not going to give you a Mac. They're going to give you a corporate device that's going to have Windows on it. And if it's a medium to large organization, they're making good money, they're going to give you Microsoft Office. If it's a small company or a startup, you're going to get Google Workspace. Used to be Google G Suite with Gmail and spreadsheets and all these kind of things, right? But ideally, if it's a big company, you're going to have Microsoft Office. So Copilot comes with Microsoft Office. So that's another one that you need to know really well. Those two, ChatGPT really well and Copilot really well, you're set to go. All right, how are we doing for time? We've got 50 seconds left, and then I'm going to take questions. If anybody wants a question, you can start typing in your questions now. If there's not any questions, I don't foresee there being too many questions, but you're welcome to ask me a question. If you want to ask me a question afterwards, I know you're watching recording, it's not live. Still put your questions in the comment section. No question is a silly question. I'll answer the questions as time goes by. I come back, revisit, I get a notification, and then I will update, and then I'll answer it. So even if you're watching the recording, ask the question, then everybody else can see the question too. And the last one is, okay, so once you've got all the Once you've got a lot of theoretical knowledge and a lot of practical experience, in other words, you've got the CBAP from IIBA or the BCS diploma from the Knowledge Academy or eCareers or whichever. There's 23 authorized training providers in the United Kingdom currently that have got signed contracts with the BCS. BCS, they make the curriculum, they've got the database of who passed, but they don't go and train it. You need to go through an authorized training provider. One of the biggest ones, the one that we use, is the Knowledge Academy, because we've sent all our students there. We've got a great relationship. That's how I did mine. So once you've got the theoretical knowledge and you've converted that into practical experience and you've been a senior business analyst for maybe 5 years, then you're a generalist business analyst. What does that mean? Well, we at BA Masterminds, we've got a list of 197 techniques that a business analyst can do, like as is and to be and use case and epic and requirements gathering and PESCO and MOSCO and fishbone diagram analysis, all these things, so ideally you're going to learn all of those in theory and then put them into practice so that you've got the knowledge. Then you can pepper your CV and your LinkedIn profile and the job site portals you registered on with those keywords to say, right, I've got those skills. So when a role comes along and you look at the role, maybe it's on LinkedIn and you see all these 20 things that the successful applicant will be doing, you can say, I've got the theoretical knowledge and the practical experience. I've done that for maybe for 17 of the 20, and then you can apply for the job. If there's 20 things you need to do and you can only do less than 80%, so maybe 70%, don't bother applying for the job. You're wasting your time, the recruiter's time, the interviewer's time. Somebody will come along that has got those skills. They will apply, they'll get the interview, they'll get the job, you won't. So ideally, you'd learn a lot about business analysis first, okay? As many of those 197 techniques as you can. And then you're a generalist senior business analyst. And then what you should do is specialize in an area, and we call that a niche. So in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the United Kingdom, it's called a niche. And in Canada and the United States of America, it's a niche. So you need to then choose your niche or your niche, which we can just refer to as your area of speciality. So let me give you a few examples. You can focus on perhaps cybersecurity. You can go and get theoretical knowledge on cybersecurity, work in a few projects in cybersecurity to convert that into practical experience, or you can do cloud. You can study Amazon or Azure or Dynamics, or you can do a product like SAP or Oracle or Salesforce or ServiceNow, study the theoretical, do it in practice, and then you've got that area of speciality. Okay. I've got neighbors that are building a house next to me. I'm in a secure complex, and I asked them please to be quiet till 1 o'clock, and it's gone 1 o'clock, and I can hear them banging already. So I'm going to end this. It's already gone over 45 minutes. I've got no questions yet, which is great. This is a straightforward. Okay, so we'll skip the Q&A. Ask the Q&A if you want at any time. Reach out to me, send me a connection request, book a free call. Let's have a chat. Do the 8 focus points. You can download it in the comments. I'll send you the checklist if you want. Book a call with me. Let's set your 1-year goals and let's go ahead and achieve them. Thank you very much. It's been very entertaining. I'll see you again at the end of the month. The end of the month, we've got something really good coming along. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you for your time and have a great day further. Bye for now.